But unfortunately, the amount of work I have right now just doesn't allow me to pick up my phone with every phone call I get. I get hundreds of text messages a day from clients and this and that.
This is for our future. I'm not trying to be productive just for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be productive for our future family. So you have to tie it to your partner's core values.
Amy, we're 4 minutes late. What's going on?
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
What's
Hello.
happening?
Hello.
All right. Question time?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. How do you deal with uncertainty that the small daily commitments will actually add up to something and not be a waste of time?
That is a great question. Alan, why don't you hammer that first?
So you have to go off of past experience, and you have to have a little bit of trust at first. I remember early in our business journey, Kevin and I, you've probably heard this story, we were in Florida. We were driving from Hollywood Beach, Florida, back up to Jacksonville, Florida. And Kevin turned to me jokingly and he said, it would really suck if all this was for nothing. And literally turned to him and I'm like, dude, I've never thought about that once. Like, he was saying, like, if this podcast thing doesn't work out, and I'm I've never thought about this once. And I used to think that was because I have high self-belief, but now I understand it's something deeper. And yes, it's self-belief, but it's not just that. Us succeeding in some regards is a mathematical certainty. If we get good enough at what we do and we do it consistently enough and we make intelligent choices, there's no version of us not succeeding. Remember, the reason you buy an iPhone is because it's the best phone, right? It's not because you loved Steve Jobs. We have the best podcast, in my opinion, because we work the hardest, because we master our craft the most, because we put in the most reps, because we make sure the audio quality is good as much as we possibly can. So to answer the original question, you kind of have to guess at first that you're going to win, and then you have to start doubling down on what works. In blackjack, when you have a good hand, you double down, you double your money to try to double it, to take advantage of a good opportunity. It's almost like you have to try stuff, experiment, the scientific method, see if it works, see what results you're getting, and then try to tweak it a little bit and then double down on it. And that iterative process of mastery, eventually it'll snowball and your results will be unbelievable.
Yeah, I would just second that. I think that shout out to Bianca. Bianca told me about this app that's for mobility. It's called Romwad. And again, we're not sponsored by them or anything, but it's just a great app. And it's like cheap and it does the thing, right? It's got thousands of different mobility things. I started doing it because I was having knee pain. Like I couldn't squat heavy anymore. I didn't know why. I didn't know what to do. So I just said, like, I'm going to try something new because I have tried a bunch of things that didn't seem to work. Let me see what happens. I just second what Alan said. You have to try things. You have to give them enough time. And I think one of the things to do is to look back and figure out, like, okay, where was I in regards to this a month ago? Where was I in regards to this 6 months ago? One of the ways I tell my clients all the time, and it's purely from the frame of perspective. You don't have to be 1,000 steps ahead of people. You only have to be 2. And why I'm saying this is when you jump on a call with somebody who's never done anything in terms of podcasting, you realize how much you know. You realize how much you know about the industry, about interviewing, about speaking, about the tech. That means that the small things that I did for the last 4 years have paid off. I think sometimes we need perspective, an outside perspective of talk to somebody who has no idea what you're talking about, and you'll realize very quickly how much you do know. So I think creating some sort of perspective, whether it's looking back on your old work, I look back on my old journaling. Like 2 years ago, I was literally journaling about having 5 full-time podcast clients. And now we have, I don't know how many we have. We have a bunch, which is great. And it's awesome. And
3 times that.
At least, right? And our the money has gone up. Like our fees have gone up. Everything's amazing. But I could tend to get lost and not know, like, oh, yeah, everything seems to be working. Like everything we're doing is definitely paying off. So I would say that. Consult old work. That's one way for sure to see progress. And make sure it's actually working.
Fire question.
I just broke my back.
How do you prioritize what's most important on your MVT list?
Ooh, Kevin asked me this recently.
Yeah, hammer it. Yeah. Productivity is your jam. I know how much you love it.
I do. I'm obsessed. I in the best way. we have a score, MIM-L score. So MIML.
Not gonna put E on there.
No, man. Mm-mm.
Wow, we're
For
gonna
the
have
birds.
a physical fight.
Okay, so we have a MIM-L score. MIMEL.
Thank you.
All right, so the first M is mastery. How good are you at what you do? The second one is I, which is impact. How good are you at what you do, and how much do you impact people with it? And then money, which is profitability. And then the next one is E, which is experience, enjoying the experience of things.
Yep.
Okay.
You guys will, I'm telling you, there'll be a bunch of people say, like, honestly, I'm glad you put that in there.
For sure. And then the last one is L for love. And so how do you prioritize what's most important on your MVT list? Kevin and I have a rating system. If it's high on the MIML score, MIML, let's get experience out of there, I'm kidding, then, of course, that's what takes top priority. Now, keep in mind, that is based on your awareness. So there are certain things that Kevin and I spent time on early in the podcast journey that we realize in hindsight didn't, big waste of time.
What's one?
I told Kevin recently, and pardon me for swearing, but I'm gonna. If Kevin and I coached Kevin and I 5 years ago, we would have kicked our own ass.
Yeah,
for sure. Because it's like, you guys are fucking up so much. It's not even funny. Pardon my French. So the point is you grow and you evolve in your awareness. What was your question?
What is one of the things we would have kicked our own ass over?
Oh, the amount of time you were spending on teaser clips, man. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's a lot of time. Yeah.
16 hours. And also, he had a terrible laptop, and we didn't hardwire either, which we have an online business. It's really important to have good internet. So there's so many. I mean, there's so many. This is why coaching is so important, because Evan Carmichael was so hardcore on us when we first started coaching with him. And I remember thinking, like, God, we get off those calls and we're just like,
painful.
oh, it was painful. But in hindsight, he just is way ahead of us, and he's just like, you guys are sucking so hard. But it also helped us level up so quickly, so quickly. So hopefully that answers the question.
I think for me, it depends on the day. A lot of my stuff is time sensitive, of like, this has to be done by this time, or Alessandro's messaging me saying like, yo, I need the video for the email, man, like, where is it? So that's how I kind of do it, but it also depends on what the overall priority is. Like, right now we're in this profitability stage where we're very focused on building the bottom of the business, so anything that makes me money is a higher MVT for me. It just is.
Right.
And everything else that just doesn't add to that, I can put on the back burner. So I think it depends on what your overall theme of your priority is. If it's, it depends on the person, right? But as that example, for us, it's making money and building the business. So anything that is a money-making activity or is leading to money-making opportunities. So for us, getting on podcasts, something we are doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on, and we are booked for a lot of them. Coaching calls. Alan and I have gone way all in on that, leading into our genius zones even more. That type of thing is taking top priority. Anything that leads to the top priority.
Real quick, I also have 4 main priorities. Team development, so coaching the team is number 1. Number 2 is coaching and consulting clients, one-on-one clients. Number 3 is podcasting. And number 4 is speaking on stages, virtual or in person. So you also have to understand your major macro priorities. I'm messing with this mic a lot.
It's going to be okay.
And then on the micro is day-to-day, macro is your decade. You have to understand how your macro goals roll down and reverse engineer to your day, and then understand that urgent things come up. Like, I take Tucker out, Kevin.
What do you take him out? Peas and poops?
Peas and poops, morning and night.
Yeah.
And Kevin's a cat dad. So you got to understand, urgent things aren't always important, and important things aren't always urgent. I mean, I've been talking about writing my book for a long time, and it doesn't get done because it's not urgent enough, but it is super important, so I'm working on it.
Are you, though?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's evolved quite a bit.
How can you explain not answering your phone to family and friends who get upset with you because you are hard to get a hold of?
That is a great that is the $1 trillion question. I think you have to have an honest, vulnerable conversation with them. I know that when I became an entrepreneur, everybody assumed I had way more time and I was way easier to get a hold of. And actually, in the beginning, that was true because I just wasn't doing a whole hell of a lot, just honestly. But it's one of those things of like, nobody's ever actually going to know what you're going through unless you tell them, particularly if they're not an entrepreneur. They're just not going to understand what it's like. Like I said that earlier to Alan, it would be funny for somebody to be like a fly on the wall. Because, like, it doesn't seem like we do that much some days because we're just recording episodes. But, like, there's so much that really goes into that. I think you just have to be honest. I've told so many of my clients that, like, hey, I know you're an entrepreneur and your friends think that means you can get lunch every day at noon. Like, it probably isn't going to work that way for you. You have to set the precedent. You have to set the boundary. And you just have to vulnerably explain, I'd love to do these things. I'd love to take calls throughout the day, but since I'm an entrepreneur, I say this to Taryn all the time, like the paycheck doesn't come in unless I go out and get it. Like there's nobody here to save us. If we screw this up, this whole thing burns to the ground, right? And we're blessed because we have an amazing team who supports us. But at the end of the day, if I don't get on the coaching call, if I don't go get the client, I don't make money and I don't put food on the table. And that's on me. So like I put myself in that position, and I think the people that are around me understand, like, we are business owners. This is our livelihood. And I think a lot of people just don't take it serious enough. Like, you have to be serious enough to say, like, look, you know, we have a business. We have people that rely on us. We have people in the community that listen to us. Like, this is a very serious thing that we have going on. We have committed our lives to this. So if I can't get back to your phone call, I do apologize. But there are other things that are going on in my life where I would never question you if you didn't answer the phone. I'd assume you probably have something going on because, you know, I have stuff going on. So I think it's just honest vulnerability. And I think the way to do it is to start by saying something along the lines of like, hey, I feel this way. So I feel a little bit scared that what I'm about to tell you might offend you a little bit, but unfortunately, the amount of work I have right now just doesn't allow me to pick up my phone with every phone call I get. You know, I get hundreds of text messages a day from clients and I'm just not able to get back to everything I have. It's very important to me to have my sanity and a little bit of solitude. So I apologize if that offends you. I don't think of you any less. I don't care about you any less. But right now I have to make this my priority. And I would just have that conversation. Easier said than done, full disclosure.
Hello, I'm Sarah Pringle, and I need to give the biggest shout out to Kevin Allen at Next Level University. These two men are the most incredible superheroes you will ever meet. They are changing the world, and they have the biggest heart and care so much. Kevin Allen, I can't thank you enough for how much you have poured into me and how much belief you've instilled in me. I've always had a dream of becoming a speaker. I never thought this was possible, and now I see so much of a future ahead of me. You guys, life is short and we only have one life. You have so much on your path. Please surround yourself with people that are going to support you and lift you higher. I say this with so much caring in my heart. Honestly, I recommend Kevin Allen to everyone to meet and to grow. And before I cry, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart.
If you do try that and it still doesn't work, this is the way that I've tried to explain it, and it's worked fairly well, but I don't know how well it will land with some people. I basically said that I said this to actually someone very, very close to me. I said, if you're trying to be an Olympic athlete and win an Olympic gold medal, people understand that you're not going to really be around because you have to train around the clock. And so no one's upset with you. Like, no one's upset with Michael Phelps. Like, why can't you be at the barbecue? It's like, of course he can't. He's an Olympic gold medalist, right? And so what I say is, like, Kevin and I are trying to do that, but for our industry. And there's no one on this planet who will work harder for their listeners than Kevin and I will. And that's our priority. And we're trying to help people as much as we can and as many people as we can. We're trying to bring holistic self-improvement to the entire globe. And that's an infinite game that we'll never actually achieve, but we'll spend our entire life investing in that bank account, so to speak. So just help people understand the level of your ambitions, your aspirations, and just say that my dreams are really important to me, and I understand that they might not be important to you, but please don't take that personally. I have many friends who, quite frankly, are upset with me because I don't come around much. but it's not like I'm hanging out with a bunch of other friends. It's not like they're seeing me on Facebook with like my other friends, you know? So that's another piece too, is if you're going to tell one friend that you don't have a lot of time, don't let them, you got to kind of set that boundary intelligently, because if they see you with that other friend, they'll get offended. So eventually consistency will show them. When you don't text people back, or you do saying I'm not really available, they will start to get it, and they'll get over it. At the end of the day, they'll get over it. Like I said with the Jay Shetty thing, like none of us are upset with him that he won't text us back, right? Like I
am slightly.
You are upset with him?
A little bit.
Interesting.
I'd like to talk to him.
So I consider Doc Jen, if you know Doc Jen Fit on Instagram, at Doc Jen Fit, she's a friend of mine, and I've coached her a little bit, and she's helped me. And I text her every now and then, but I'm never offended if she doesn't get right back to me, and vice versa, because of course not, right? She's like extremely, extremely busy. Just got married, like has a podcast, has an insanely valuable Instagram profile, has a ton of online courses. Like, it's just important to understand, as we've been blessed to rise in this industry, we realize, like, we're not going to get offended when Evan Carmichael doesn't like DM us back. Just realize that the higher you go, the more you're going to have honest conversations of like, why do you feel so entitled to my time? You know, like, why are you upset with me? Like, it's not like I'm not trying to hurt you. You got to be honest, and if it doesn't work, just deal with that. I mean, people are going to guilt you. People are going to shame you. You can't die from guilt and shame.
And you can batch your messages. That's another thing. Like, if you feel yourself not getting back to them, batch your messages once a day. First thing, or not first thing in the morning, but whatever. After you do your morning routine, and then before you go to bed, like, that's a way to do it too. If you're really, really, like, if you really want to do it, if it's a priority for you to get back to everybody, that's a way to do it.
Fire.
Yeah. Well, let's take one more, because we only got a couple. And Amy is gone. She's left.
Sorry. No, I can't. I have such a hard time unmuting it. Like, I press it too quickly, and then I get like anxious that it's not going. Anyway.
You're good, Amy. No worries.
Appreciate you guys. What if I recognize the importance of that quality of having a bubble around myself, but my partner does not?
That is a great question. Taryn and I have had this conversation several times. Not several, many times, of like, so I moved in with Taryn at the beginning of COVID, because it was like, either I'm not going to get to see her or I'm going to live with her. One of the two, I'm going to live with her. Cool. That was the first time I ever podcasted in front of another human other than Alan or a guest, I think. We did it with Dave. I think that was the only other one. That was the first time I ever did coaching calls, like, in the same place. Like, Taryn wasn't listening, but she was in the same apartment, and the apartment was very small.
Super uncomfortable at first.
Very, very uncomfortable. Yeah. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Genuinely very difficult. When we moved to the new place, which is bigger and has, an office and a smaller office, I said, babe, I mean this with all the love in the world. I do not want my laptop or my computer facing you. Like, I want something separating us, because I don't want to be distracted. So, again, vulnerable conversations. Like, did Taryn get offended? No, because she understands me. Because I've communicated, hey, I need to be productive. I have to be focused. I can't be doing this, in the middle of the day, just going for walk stuff right now. It's just not in the cards for me. I have to be productive. But that all started with a difficult, important conversation, and I think it's the same for you. I would talk about why it's important to you. That's it at the end of the day. It's important to me because of these things. And I think it's just a deeper understanding that you have that maybe your partner doesn't yet, but it doesn't mean they won't ever have it.
Amy sent a meme to the team once that we all found hilarious. I found it particularly hilarious. I actually saved it. It said, quit my 9 to 5. Now I work 24/7, which I thought was hilarious. Any entrepreneur, any early entrepreneur in particular, it's like, when you do have goals and dreams and you really lean into them, people think you have more time. You actually have far less time. And I was thinking about this the other day. Emilia and I we go upstairs and we each have our own offices, and I have my own bathroom. And it's awesome because her door's closed and there's no way, nothing will interrupt her. I'm never going to go in there, hey, babe, unless it's an emergency. Why? Because when she's in her office, she is working. That is her workplace, right? And vice versa. My door's closed. There's no, like, hey, by the way, do you want a snack or do you want to go for a walk? Like, my door's closed. And it's it's just an honest conversation that we've had up front. I'm very blessed because Emilia is also an entrepreneur, and she also is unreasonably productive and optimized, and that's what this is about, again, how to accomplish more in less time. She's one of the most optimized humans I've ever met. But if you're with a partner who's not like that, here's another thing you can do, and Kevin's done awesome at this, is like, this is for our future. I'm not trying to be productive just for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be productive for our future family. So you have to tie it to your partner's core values. You have to. I was on the phone with a couple this past weekend doing relationship talks, and they just need to integrate their vision. One person is much more family oriented, wants kids and a home, and one person's much more driven by their bigger dreams. And it's like they just need to have that conversation of like, let's divide and conquer. You know, I'm going to be more productive, not just for me, but for our kids, so they can go to the colleges they want, so that we can have a beautiful home, so that we can do these amazing things. So if you connect it to what your partner values, you'll be much, much, much better off. And at the end of the day, if you can't, that's another discussion.
There's so many, I'm realizing this, and I'm sure you are too, so many of the issues, problems, conflict, friction that we have in our lives, it genuinely just requires a difficult conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Because the conversation is going to go one of two ways. The person, well, maybe there's many ways it can go. But one, they don't understand at all and they refuse to. Very rare. Like, that is not common. They don't necessarily understand, but they want to. Like, that's great. They completely understand. Like, there's only so many ways that a conversation can go. Will there be an argument and a temper flare? Maybe, but you can communicate out of that, right? We're all so afraid, and myself included. I am 100% in this club. It's difficult to have difficult conversations, but those are the ones that make the biggest differences. And a lot of the problems that we have would be solved by just sitting down and saying, hey, it makes me feel a certain way, or I feel a certain way, or I'm afraid of this, or whatever it may be. And again, I need to do that just as much as anybody else, but so I'll use that as an opportunity to speak to myself.
Very synchronistic. Last thing I'll say, I was driving here to the studio, swear to God, and I said, I want to say a new quote. And the new quote is, you are one difficult conversation away from a whole new life. And that is so appropriate based on what Kevin just said. And there's no reason why you can't drive to 5 and work together. And if you can't, then you can agree to disagree and then grow apart. At least then you'll have peace of mind. All right.
That's a meme. I'm going to steal it, and then I'm going to brand it as my own.
Perfect.
And then
Awesome.
It will go viral. And
NLU
then
in the corner.
No, never quit.
Just, oh, okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
brand it from me.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see below, we are opening our 4th group of group coaching, September 7th. Why don't you talk to the people about it?
90 days, achieve more in 90 days than you ever have on a group of 10. Imagine a sports team that you used to be on, and you were probably working out more consistently. You were probably a part of something bigger. You probably had accountability, coaching, guidance. That's what we've tried to replicate. We want you to be at your best, and you actually can't do that unless you're on a peak performing team. Join group coaching. It's $97 a month. If you don't like it within the first month, we will literally give you your money back. nextleveluniverse.com. You got to apply, though, because it's quality over quantity, and we're only taking 10 people. Please apply, and we will either accept you. We probably will accept you, honestly. But we want to make sure it's a congruent group, because if there's some people in the group that don't want what we intended, we got to be careful about that.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this live, we have an episode for you tomorrow. If you are listening to this repurposed, we also have an episode for you tomorrow, because we have episodes every day for the rest of time, hopefully. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you mañana.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, Amy.